We did it. 30 days of a whole food plant-based diet. I would like to say that it wasn't that hard, but it was pretty hard.
I would say it was challenging at times. It definitely came in waves. Like at the start, we were not prepared at all.
No.
That was hard. But then we got in our groove. We started making things at the house. We had snacks prepped and we were ready to go, and that was pretty easy.
In the final few days, I opened the fridge and I literally remember thinking, I can't wait for this to be over. So before we get into what we learned by doing this whole food plant-based challenge, I think it's important that we rewind for a sec and remember why we did this in the first place.
So I consider myself an athlete. I do a lot of endurance stuff, do training. Food is very important to me. It's the fuel that keeps me going. In the past, I went plant-based to heal myself. I had like terrible back problems, and changing that diet really helped eliminate that.
Some of you may know this, but we lost a dear loved one of ours earlier this year, and it was completely related to diet-related health complications. And through this, I became really frustrated with the US food system and the Western diet that, when eaten over a lifetime, can make people like our loved one really sick.
This is my personal favorite.
Oh God.
Look at how long that is.
Oh my gosh. So to make this as easy as possible, we have 5 key takeaways that we learned from doing this whole food plant-based challenge. Here we go. Okay, obviously we can't talk about anything that we learned without first acknowledging our privilege. We live in an area with access to fresh, healthy food, and we know that's not true for everyone in the US. Lesson 2, this takes a ton of time.
Prepping the food, cooking the food, washing the dishes, eating the food, on and on.
Hot potato. So the time it takes to do all of this is so not American because the Western diet is all about convenience. That's not just an issue of the food system, but rather the US system in general, that people don't have enough time. I kept thinking about this too. I was raised by a single working mom who came home around 5:36, and I was thinking, if I were her and I had a long day of work, would I want to be standing over the stove, or would I rather just be playing with my 3 daughters on the rug? The queen in her kitchen. I want to talk to you about food.
Okay.
What do you recall when you were a single working mom? How did you feed your kids?
Well, it needed to be something that we could make pretty fast. And there was always something that you guys could kind of make yourself. My mom used to also make us lasagnas. She also made us milanesas that we would freeze and use. You guys loved milanesas with mashed potatoes and spinach.
What were your major priorities with food?
I wasn't big on frozen meals. We did have frozen lasagna once in a while. We ate very little canned stuff.
Why was that? What was your thought process as a mom that you didn't want to feed your kids?
Well, one, didn't taste good. A lot of salt, and I wanted you guys to eat fresh, real food.
What's your relationship with food as a first-generation American? What's your relationship?
I love food, right? So food, unfortunately, food is not just about nutrition. It's about gifts. It's about growing it. These are the best mangoes ever. Having meals and celebrating, right? It's how we celebrate is around food. We like to eat. I see your generation, the millennials, the Gen Z, you guys are so interested. Oh, I get chills thinking. You're so interested in the sourcing of food, about organics, about learning about food and small gardens. It endears me that there's a curiosity about bees, and there's a curiosity about composting, and that people are trying things and thinking that's neat.
Yeah.
You know?
Salud.
Salud, querida.
The hardest thing for Brooks to give up for 30 days.
So hard.
On the first day after this challenge, what did you do?
I went to the store and got a bag.
Literally can't even make it through shooting a YouTube video without eating.
So my biggest recommendation for anyone gonna even attempt to do this is always have meals planned. Just have food prepped and ready, because the amount of hangry fights we got into probably strengthened our relationship because we got through them, but there were definitely a few. What did you say?
I said we can read. There's trouble in paradise. Unprocessed paradise. I feel like this is the takeaway that you're all waiting for. But what did your bodies feel like?
Ooh.
Oh my gosh. Brooks lost 10 pounds.
I lost 10 pounds.
Brooks doesn't have 10 pounds to lose.
I don't. I slept unbelievably well. That was the biggest thing for me. I've had sleep problems in the past. The second I lay down, I would fall asleep and wake up when the alarm went off.
As expected, we were eating a ton of fiber because we were eating nuts and fruit and a bunch of legumes instead of snacks. What happens when you eat a lot of fiber? You Yeah, smooth operators. I think too, because we're eating a ton of fiber, we got fuller faster. I think there's something in fiber that lets you know when to stop eating.
I also noticed when I was like working or reading, my focus was like super zoned in too.
And then lastly, as a reminder, we decided not to drink alcohol for 30 days. Just sober for the month.
Yeah. Cool.
And I think that has a lot to do with how good we were feeling. That meant no hangovers, waking up on a Saturday or Sunday morning early without a headache was really lovely.
Yeah, it's the best.
Yeah, it was really nice. Ooh, that tomato plant smells good. Obviously, there are a lot of positive takeaways from this challenge, but something that kind of sucked was how limiting it was when you can't go out to eat.
But on the other side, we did have like some really cool moments. My mom was in town. We got to share many meals with her.
We wanted to celebrate the end of our challenge in a really cool way, so we invited 10 friends over for a whole food plant-based dinner, and it was kind of a potluck. You know, Dakota made this beautiful salad, and Sophia brought drinks or beverages for everyone, and it was really lovely. We got to show our friends what we've been up to, what we've been eating, but also how delicious whole foods are. We sourced a lot of the ingredients from the farmer's market that morning, and it almost felt like the traditional way of how food was celebrated, with loved ones around a table, honoring and respecting the food as the gift from the earth that it is.
So what do you think we're gonna keep, and what do you think we're gonna ditch?
There's a lot of things I want to keep. I think we feel really good, really connected to earth, really connected to bodies, really connected to food. Definitely keep making homemade tortillas and homemade hot sauce.
Check.
Your granola is pretty fire. We'll continue to choose local and seasonal as much as possible.
Oh, R2D2.
Oh yeah, we're air fryer people now, baby. I think we'll keep the ceremony of a meal. Eat at the table, eating without our phone, eating outside if we can, eating with each other. And then something I'll actively keep for the rest of my life is learning about the food system and learning from experts. I think 30 days is obviously not enough time to fully learn about something, but we've definitely scratched the surface and have found something that we'll continue to learn about for the rest of our lives. Okay, now what about this challenge are we not gonna keep? I've learned that by doing this challenge, a lot of folks have a lot to say about oil. I'll own up that maybe we approach this challenge from a biased perspective or only considering one part of the conversation around oil. I got to have a really awesome conversation with Dr. Matt Nagra on my Instagram Live. Hi, Dr. Matthew Nagra, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
He debunked a lot of the myths about oil, that there's actually not enough evidence to show that oil leads to a lot of the implications that some doctors have claimed, but integrating more olive oil and avocado oil and things into our life for sure. Because let me tell you, sauteing a mushroom in water, it's not it.
I think for me, like my biggest go-to has been tempeh and or tofu. I'll definitely work back in. I think everyone can pretty much agree that whole foods are good for you. It's just that not everyone has proper access or resources to eat them. And that's where the issues start to come in.
I was telling Dr. Matt, in a dream scenario, everyone would be able to walk into a grocery store and have access to fresh, healthy food and put food in their shopping cart with confidence that it was ethically farmed, it has sustainable and responsible practices, and that it's not gonna harm their health. And the fact that that's not how the current US food system is already shows that it's not just.
It's corrupt.
Yeah. And while it might be a dream scenario, I think it's definitely something worth fighting for. And while doing this project, we've learned about amazing activists and organizations who are doing the work to change things. Again, we're so grateful that y'all tagged along for this journey. We learned a lot. We hope you did too. So make sure to subscribe because we have a lot of fun videos in the works that have to do with food and sustainability and so much more. We'll see you soon. Boom, baby!
Peace.